I looked down at the letter from Alan Wallengard in my hand, bearing the Wallengard seal, a fine envelope with, of course, Alan Wallengard's signature on it. He had very nice calligraphy, meaning, of course, his cursive was immaculate, as expected. I mentally crossed my fingers, opening the letter, hoping to find a change of opinion, maybe. Suddenly, perhaps the fact that I did know magic would work in my favor, and Alice's father would change his opinion of me and how he feels about me dating Alice. It would be beneficial to have him on my side. After opening the letter, the contents, well, they were simply unclear. It appears as if Alan Wallengard was inviting me to come visit. He wanted me to come to the estate and talk to him about something, stating he would urgently like to see me and have a discussion regarding my relationship with Alice. Unfortunately, none of the language was too telling when it comes to how he actually felt. It could be perceived as either good or bad. There was no clear line drawn in the sand as to how he felt in the letter. So, if I wanted any clear answers, I'd have to talk to the man. As my work was nearly done for the day, putting in those hard hours does pay off. I decided it would be beneficial to resolve this situation as soon as possible. The sooner it's over, the sooner I can start focusing on more important things. I sighed a bit. Well, Mother, it appears as if things are still unclear with Alice's father. I'm not certain that he's taken a shine to me as of yet, I said, scratching my chin, looking at the letter. If you could, Mother, could you call the coach? Tell them to get the carriage ready. I'd like to take a trip to the Wallengard estate. Alan Wallengard wishes to speak with me, and if a conversation he wants, a conversation he'll have. I've never actually dealt with Alan Wallengard in any sort of professional manner. We do work in separate industries, so I don't know how sharp he is. I know he's not going to be a dullard, but it would be wise to assume that he's at least competent in business. Even with Forever Fortunate on their side, that doesn't mean they can afford to be oblivious morons. It takes intelligence to run a business, and theirs is massive. The Wallengard's yearly income is more than 3 times our own, so I definitely shouldn't be reckless when I talk to him. So, would you like to come, Mother, or would you prefer to stay home for the evening? I asked, looking over to her. Quite frankly, I could use to get out of the house. I've been cramped up for so long here. And Alice's mother is a lovely woman. I'd love to spend some more time with her. Don't worry, Reginald. I'll go fetch the carriage. But Reginald, do try to wear something handsome. This isn't just a business deal, you know. You are courting his daughter. I want you to look respectable, my mother said, placing her hands on her hips and giving me a sideways glance. I don't know what you mean by that, Mother. I always look respectable, I replied, scratching my head a bit, wondering what she meant. I mean that usually your attire is more fit for business. You often tend to wear dull colors. Try wearing something sharp, maybe a little colorful. Something that appeals to the eyes. Remember, when going to speak to a father about seeing his daughter, it's also about appealing to the girl, Reginald. Girls do like it when men look handsome for them. Ah, my mother sighed. I really should have taught you these things earlier. Unfortunately, I was simply so caught up. Your father's demands, his expectations for you were so specific. And there I was, so afraid that he would cast us to the wind, that I had no choice but to raise you in the manner he wished. And it gave me no time to teach you of the more delicate matters in life. There is more than just business arrangements, Regimen. That is a trap that your father fell into. Love and affection and relationships are different. They have different standards and are based in different things. Emotions are not things to be bartered. If a girl actually likes you, you need to show her that she's appreciated, that her perceptions of you matter, Regimen, my mother said, walking a little closer to the desk, leaning over and giving me a kiss on the forehead. Hopefully it's not too late for you to pick it up, she said as she turned around and began walking outside of the office. I'll tell them to be ready in about a half an hour. That is enough time, right, Regimen? My mother exclaimed as she began to close the door. Yes, Mother. I'll see you in about a half an hour. As Mother closed the door, I couldn't help but think. Maybe my mother was right. Perhaps I was taking Alice's feelings for granted, thinking of it too much like business. I mean, Alice is strange, no doubt about that. But the way she feels about me seems to be genuine, despite the fact that she claims that she's bartered away all feelings except for those of the person she's meant to be with in the end, destined to be with. I mean, she does have the destiny sight, and her logic on why she claims she believes it seems to be sound. Maybe Alice is right. Maybe it's somehow destiny. I mean, it's not like I don't care about Alice at all. Far from it. She's been one of my closest friends for a very long time now. It's just I simply never thought of her in that manner. I'm usually too busy being worried about what's going through her head. And the thoughts simply kept rolling as I got ready to leave, putting on a fresh new suit, something a little more showy than I usually wear, thinking perhaps I should take my mother's advice. But the more I thought about the situation with Alice, the more questions it gave me. For example, if she's right and we are destined to be together, what does that say about destiny itself? How much is decided by fate? Does a person have one destiny or multiple? Is Alice ending up with me simply the best destiny she could achieve herself? Are there other women that I might be destined to meet under different circumstances? Or is it all simply a matter of certainty, where everything is a set pattern, meant to be from the beginning to the end? The more I think of it like that, the more destiny just sounds like a prison cell, where choice and belief, effort don't matter. Or maybe it's choice and belief and effort that make destiny reality. I don't know. It's too complicated to think about right now. Right now, I need to think about Alan Wallengard. That's the situation I'm currently having to deal with, so it should be the primary focus of my thoughts. I finally finished getting ready, and about a half an hour had passed. I even bothered, out of character, to put on some cologne. Smell nice. It usually wasn't in the list of things that I do in my self-care, but once again, maybe I should give Mother's advice a shot. After that, it wasn't a long carriage ride to the Wallengard estate. At this time of year, we were just rounding into spring, so all the green foliage had yet to come back, but one could just start to see buds arriving on the bushes that line the travelway to the Wallendor estate. The mansion, just as elegant as ever, a beautiful white with marble pillars, and roses carved out of the marble, as if vines themselves grew into a marble shape and color, appealed to the eyes as you approached. Myself and my mother exited the carriage and walked to the front door. After using the lion-shaped knocker, it wasn't long before we were greeted by Alice's mother, this time wearing a lovely green dress. She always looked very nice, but that is common with the upper-class society. Oh, Mrs. Worthington, It's been ages since I've seen you, Alice's mother said, greeting my mother with a hug. I've recently heard that my husband wishes to have words with you, young man, she says, breaking away from hugging my mother to look down at me. I'm uncertain of what he wishes to talk about, but do be careful with him. He is a bit overprotective when it comes to Alice, and he's been acting quite strange as of recent, and having meetings with people that I don't readily recognize as his usual business associates. I find the whole ordeal questionable. I swear when that man gets a plan in his head, nothing seems to sway him. But Alice has told me that you're a very convincing young man, Reginald, Alice's mother said, giving me a smile. Out of both of Alice's parents, Alice's mother was definitely the nice one. And whether it be the compliments Alice doled out about me, or my personal interactions with Mrs. Wallingard, she seemed to be the only one who liked me. And I think the feeling was mutual. Honestly, I sometimes find myself wishing that Alice was a little bit more like her mother. I mean, she got her looks, but I don't know where the personality came from, I thought to myself, looking up at her, uncertain as to how I should really respond. Yes, Mrs. Wallingard, but unfortunately my experience really only pertains to doing business, so I'm uncertain of whether or not I'd be very convincing in other matters. But hopefully I can live up to the expectations that Alice has set for me. To be honest, I would like Mr. Wallendor to like me, of course. But truthfully, the only one I'm really concerned about liking me is Alice, I said, placing my hand on top of my head, looking down at the ground, trying to organize my thoughts a bit. Mrs. Wallendor leaned down, placing a hand on my shoulder. Alice was quite right about you, young Reginald. Somehow you always find the exact right thing to say, she said, smiling at me. I think you're better at understanding what's important to a woman than you think, young Regiman. But I suppose I've taken up enough of your time. Alice's father is the one you have to deal with now, so I hope you're ready, young man, she said, standing back to her feet. You will find Master Wallingdor's office on the bottom floor, the right-hand side of the estate. It will be all the way down the hall. Do you understand that? She said, looking down at me a little bit more seriously now. Yes, Mrs. Worthington, of course. I'll go there right away, I replied, beginning to make my way to Alan Wallendor's office. At this point, all I could really do was cross my fingers and hope things go well.